underwater oasis bursting with life and colour, a living structure stretching thousands of k's, and a national treasure that's ours to explore. The Great Barrier Reef. In this country, we are so lucky to have many natural wonders right at our doorstep, whether it be by land or in the ocean. But the Great Barrier Reef is by far one of our most famous. G'day and welcome to Queensland Weekender. The reefs out here are some of the most sensitive ecosystems on the planet, and there's no denying that over the last 12 months they've been knocked about just a little bit. However, we're here to show you that the Great Barrier Reef is alive and well. This week on the show, we're taking you there, up high, up close, and we'll be meeting the reef warriors, the protectors of this incredible natural wonder.
It is probably the most famous natural icon on the planet.
We're starting our exploration of the reef in Cairns. The Cairns Aquarium is brand new, and $54 million later, it's the first public aquarium to open in Australia in 18 years.
My partner and I went out to the Great Barrier Reef and we saw a lot of people who went to the reef but didn't necessarily go in the water or actually venture off some of the islands. And so it gave us this concept that we should bring the Great Barrier Reef into the CBD of Cairns.
Daniel Leipnick is one of the founders of the aquarium and started working on this passion project over 6 years ago.
We wanted to have this playground for kids, so almost parents can let their kids run loose and kids can get under things, behind things, over things. If the kids get a little bit bored or something from the fish, there's lots of these sort of activities. They can really immerse themselves in the exhibits themselves.
Those immersive activities follow the journey of a drop of water, from the wet tropics, winding through creek systems and eventually ending up in the Coral Sea.
This aquarium is the only aquarium in the world that exclusively showcases the animals of tropical North Queensland. So we have 10 different ecosystems that we have replicated.
And by far the most impressive ecosystem here is the deep reef tank. Measuring 10 metres tall and containing thousands of animals, you could sit and watch it for hours.
This is replicating the drop-off. Most people think of the drop-off as a place where Nemo lives, and that's where this is. It's the only tank of its kind in Australia and one of only 3 in the world.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
It's truly stunning. It's a very interactive environment, and we certainly want people to go away learning as much as they can about the reef and the rainforest and wanting to protect it forever.
The beauty of aquariums is getting to interact with the weird and wonderful of the underwater world and educating the next generation of conservationists.
This is a type of skink. We have over 420 species of skink, so we've got lots of skinks.
Wow. Yeah.
How would you polish his fingernails?
Probably with like a very tiny tool. So they're so tiny.
Now, it's one thing to see the animals of the reef, but it's another knowing a little about them before you visit.
This is called an oceanic silvertip. They're like the tiger sharks and the bull sharks. Good news, we never see them. They always attack from behind, so you won't see it, yes.
Gareth Phillips runs Reef Teach, classes aimed at educating visitors before they head out to the wild blue yonder.
Well, first of all, the reef's just an amazingly special place. It's so diverse, there's so much to it. It can be quite overwhelming, and so to actually truly see it, you've got to know about it first, and that's the main goal. If people know about it, they'll really enjoy it, and then they'll really look after it.
The classes are interactive, and his aim is to give participants a broader knowledge about everything that lives on the reef.
Corals have actually built the Great Barrier Reef. Everything you're going to be seeing out there is only there because of the corals. And that's one of my specialities here at Reef Teachers, to get people super excited about the stuff that they're actually looking at, but not realising they're looking at.
What do you think is the attraction for people to travel all over the world to see the Great Barrier Reef?
Well, it's a unique habitat. We've got coral reefs all over the world, but none to the grandeur of the Great Barrier Reef. There's no other place like it on Earth. After the break,
you just simply put this helmet on, can come down for a walk. How good? Every year, millions of people from around the world come to experience the wonder that is the Great Barrier Reef. Coral cays bursting with bright, brilliant colours and an underwater playground for those who are willing to take the plunge. We're on board Sunlover Reef Cruises, which is based in Cairns, and it is our first opportunity to explore the reef in all its glory. Sunlover's state-of-the-art pontoon is a mini floating city to keep anyone entertained. Let's suit up. True to its name, a huge deck for the vitamin D deficient. A kids' pool with resident fishies to say g'day to. An underwater observatory. A 2-storey water slide. And activities to get you closer to the reef than ever before. Hard at work. By far, snorkeling has to be the most popular way to explore this natural wonder. Pablo, I'm 41 years of age and I've finally made it out to the Great Barrier Reef.
Nice.
I can see why it's so good.
Well, everyone is so happy today, even with the day is a little bit cloudy. Still, the people enjoy it and having a fantastic time. The water temperature is 25 degrees. It's beautiful. Still beautiful for the corals. Like it's good temperature for the corals and also for us. Even with a shorty, a wetsuit, we are really comfortable here. Yeah.
The corals are a huge attraction, with Moore Reef being one of the top spots out from Cairns.
Yeah, a few of them, they're really, really good. The bright colors, really intense. Obviously, a few of them after the last 2 bleaching events that we have during the last 2 summers, you will see a little bit of impact here and there, okay? But especially we're gonna bring you to the shallow part, that is the healthiest part of the reef.
But what do you reckon, mate? We've had enough chat.
Let's jump in the water. No more chat. Yeah. Let's see it.
I can instantly see why this is called the Great Barrier Reef. This is awesome. Plenty of coral, huge walls, and fish life everywhere. Check this out, a giant clam. Oh my goodness, that was so good. I can't believe how much detail there is down there. There's everything you need, just in a small area here alone. I want to stay here for a few more hours. Now that's one way, but for those who don't want to get their hair wet, there's this. This is interesting. The Sea Walk. Just like the early pioneers of the sea, it's you, a helmet, and all the fish. Ready?
Yeah, ready.
Take a big breath. This thing's heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's heavy.
All right, let's go. Oh. This is a weird sensation. I've got this massive helmet on my head. It's 35 kilograms heavy, but it feels as light as a feather. And it's also a weird sensation that I'm underwater and I'm walking as well. It sort of feels like I'm in the fish tank and the fish are the actual tourists, because they're all coming up and they're having a really close look. They're really friendly. Oh, we're going this way. And the friendliest fish around here is Wally, the Maori wrasse, who is definitely not shy of the camera. Wow, it's massive. Hey, Wally. This is an amazing way to experience the reef. You don't need any experience whatsoever. You just need to simply put this helmet on, you can come down for a walk. How good. Look at that. There's some brine. After a big day of adventure, there's another paradise that awaits us, about a half an hour north of Cairns, the Reef House at Palm Cove. A colonial-style beach house that has all the hallmarks of 5-star accommodation. To unwind, a day spa. A restaurant serving up only the best, pork belly and scallops for entree, or their signature dish, saltwater barra with coconut. Divine. And another fine touch in the Brigadier's Bar. Complimentary punch every evening. How good is this? Stick around. After the break, we'll be soaring over one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. I'm absolutely blown away by the size of the Great Barrier Reef. Welcome back to Queensland Weekender, where we are experiencing every angle of the Great Barrier Reef. From getting up close and personal with it to seeing it in a whole new perspective. Hey Brett.
Hey mate.
How are you, mate? You good? Nautilus Aviation has taken thousands of tourists above and beyond, showing them the reef, and Brett Wright is our pilot for the day.
All right, here we go. We've got the Trinity Inlet beside us there. That's about 3 o'clock. And that's the reason mainly all the water's all muddy because of all the mangroves. Yeah, I still remember my first time when I flew out here, and it's amazing, as you'll see in a minute.
On our 30-minute flight, the first stop is the world-famous Green Island.
Which island's this one? Yeah, so this one's called Green Island. They say it's about 6,000 years old, Green Island. Quite a unique island, it does have rainforest on it. And it's surrounded by the coral reef. So that's about where the Great Barrier Reef starts.
As we head further out, the colours of the reef start to pop. Deep blues and stunning turquoise.
Obviously we haven't got out all that far, but already we see a huge change in colours in the ocean. Lots to do with the depth and everything like that. So the deeper it goes, the darker shade of blue it sort of is. All the brown down there is all the different types of coral. I'm absolutely blown away by the size of the Great Barrier Reef. And this is only just a small portion of it, isn't it? The Great Barrier Reef is about 2,600 kilometres long. So it starts just north of Bundaberg and goes all the way up into the Torres Straits. So the marine park itself is 2,300 kilometres. So if you put that in perspective, it's about the sort of same mass as sort of Japan.
One of the great experiences of doing a heli tour is being able to touch down on your own bit of paradise.
Land the helicopter on Glass off Cairns, spend a bit of time down on the beach, eh? On this little island here, that's the one.
Doesn't get much better than this, does it?
Can't beat it, mate, can't beat it. This one's called Flassoff Cay. It's one of about 300 of these little sand caves throughout the Great Barrier Reef. We can actually land on this one, so a lot of them are actually bird sanctuaries and stuff like that.
The island is made of pure white sand, which makes it an attraction in itself. There's no vegetation whatsoever, is there?
No vegetation. At low tide, it can be 3 football fields. People come out here, get married and picnics and all sorts.
And while you're out here, you may as well take the opportunity to have this all to yourself. Snorkel, mask, fins, here we go. It's been 50 years since the Great Barrier Marine Park was created. And if it wasn't for a few rogue conservationists many years ago, what we see today may not exist.
John Buse was the person who led the campaign that saved the Great Barrier Reef.
Liz Galley is a passionate Mission Beach local, and through her organisation, Friends of Ninny Rise, she recounts the story of where we almost lost the reef. Why is Ellison Reef so important to all of the Great Barrier Reef?
Well, it wasn't important in those days because they used to mine the reef for lime, and they said this Ellison Reef was dead, and that's really, they proved that it wasn't dead. But Ellison Reef was the catalyst that actually triggered off the massive campaign that saved the whole of the Great Barrier Reef.
John Buse enlisted the help of close friend and Prime Minister Harold Holt.
Harold Holt was able to take that whole awareness to a federal level and ask who actually owns the Great Barrier Reef.
at that time, the powers that be had plans to explore for natural resources.
They had oil leases all over the Great Barrier Reef, and the Queensland government thought they owned it.
Conservation was a word that probably wasn't thrown around all that often, was it?
No, it was a brand new thing. It was a change between exploitation and conservation. If you live in a really beautiful place in the world and you appreciate that natural beauty, then you can only fight for it. You can't accept watching it disappear.
For old and new citizens, it's amazing that we have people that are dedicated to our greatest natural asset. Andy Ridley might not be a name that's familiar, but his work definitely is. As one of the co-founders of Earth Hour, he's hoping his next bet will be just as big.
Citizens of the Great Barrier Reef is a new project designed to engage the world in the future of the reef. As you know, the last couple of years has been bleaching on the reef, and actually a lot of people around the world particularly think we've lost the reef already. The threats to it are massive, and we need to kind of look at what we can do about it.
Andy's plan is to engage an army of guardians. It's more than just the Great Barrier Reef, isn't it?
For people all over the planet, Great Barrier Reef is on their bucket list. It is the most famous natural icon. The things that are causing the problems on it are global. They give you a kind of crazy stats on this. For all the stuff that we dig out of the ground every year, globally, only 7% of it is used more than once. It's creating massive amounts of waste. That's causing climate change and marine debris, all these different problems that we come across. This symbol, this amazing, inspiring symbol, we hope will gather the world together around, right, what do we do about this? How do we transition from where we are today to where we need to get to?
We're joining Andy for something special and have saved the best for last. We're on board Sea Goddess with Mission Beach Dive, and Nancy is taking us to a couple of her favourite destinations.
The first spot we're going to is Beaver Reef with a backdrop of Beaver Cave, and then we'll have lunch on the way over to Eddy Reef, the second spot. So two really beautiful spots, very different ecosystems to each other, so it's nice to show everybody a couple of different unique spots out there.
What makes this dive different from the rest of them?
What we want to create is a lifetime experience and something that you'll remember forever. It's the Great Barrier Reef. It's the Great Barrier Reef. What can you say?
And to see it, we're scuba diving. So it's a small team fitting into an even smaller boat, dropping in just past the sand cave.
Alrighty.
Straight away, you can see why it's called the Great Barrier Reef. So many corals and many more fish, big and small. A giant clam slowly sifting seawater. Everything down here is alive.
Wow, that was simply amazing.
Dive number 2. Eddy Reef.
Lost the flipper, but otherwise okay.
Check this out, a massive cabbage coral stretching over 5 metres wide. So big that Nancy said she's even seen it on Google Maps. Swimming with a school of sweetlip over a coral bommy. How good is this? And anemones bursting with colour. Everyone down here is pumped. After a big day, a debrief on the reef, and it's all smiles.
Loved it. I love coming out here. It replenishes the energy that you have for the Great Barrier Reef to come out, get under the water and see what it's all about again. I love it.
You know the place so well, don't you? Because you were just guiding us to every little nook and cranny of the reef and showed all these amazing little bits of sea life.
Yeah, you do. I mean, everything's got their own little spot, and you know where the feeding stations are, and you know where the little clownfish are, and you know where the friendly stuff is and the not so little friendly fish.
And you never get bored of coming out here, do you?
Always see something new. Always see. Every dive you see something new that you didn't see before.
And Eddie, what are your thoughts, mate? Do you enjoy it?
Oh, look, it's inspiring going out there. The reef's got massive threats, but it's an incredible place. Yeah, it makes you want to do everything you can to make sure it stays like that.
One last thing. If you're heading to Mission Beach, the trip isn't complete without a stay at the Sanctuary Retreat. Secluded rainforest cabins and huts 50 acres of lush tropical private rainforest which joins the national park, and one of the best places in Australia to see a cassowary in the wild. Before we go tonight, a couple of websites to plan a perfect Queensland weekend are Queensland.com and Queensland Rail Travel. I have had the most amazing time up here on the reef. I have swum with a big Murray wrasse. I've gone on a heli tour, I've scuba dived, I've done everything. It is here to be enjoyed. So make your way to Mission Beach or Cairns or any of the other coastal towns and explore it in all of its glory. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today. See you again next week.